morning, everyone. Oh, actually, I realized, let me get my microphone on. Okay. This is not a fashion statement. I don't know if this has happened to you all, but I woke up with like a pinched nerve in my back. And so this is the heating pad that is like the only way I get a little bit of relief. I just scheduled a physical therapy appointment for after this. But if this has ever happened to you before, let me know because this has never happened to me. I guess this is what happens as you start to get older. You wake up with sleep injuries. I was saying to my husband, I feel like Regina George, in the Mean Girls where she's waving but can't move any of her body. So I have my heating. I was like, it's my speaker sisters. They know me. It's okay. It's fine. I can have my heating pad on for you guys. Okay, so tell me, as people are coming in, what was your favorite Halloween costume? With the holidays upon us, what was like, if you remember, it could be when you were an adult, it could be when you were a kid, but what was your favorite costume when you got dressed up for Halloween? Oh, bedazzle it, Laura Ora, that is a perfect, yeah, welcome to aging. Love it. Oh yeah, Carrie Bradshaw. I feel very Carrie Bradshaw right now. Um, okay, very chic heating pad. Let's see. What was your favorite Halloween costume? Mine, when I was a kid, I remember one time we were a big like make your own Halloween costume family and I wanted to be a waiter and I had like a little apron with like kind of a pocket in the front and my favorite thing was just going around and taking people's orders and like running around like putting a towel over my shoulder and a tray. I remember that was my favorite Halloween costume. I guess now it's all making sense that I love being in charge. Mermaid won first place, Kung Fu Panda, Ladybug. My mom used to make ours. One year we were sunflowers. Some kids screamed and ran thinking we were real. They must have been, y'all must have been really good at making your Halloween costumes if someone thought it was real. Well, thank you for coming to October Speaker Sister Live. If this is anyone's first Speaker Sister Live, if you have just joined us, let me know in the chat so we can give you a warm welcome. But this is a spot where you all can just relax, get to know each other, and ask me anything that you might be hung up on. So go ahead and you can start putting any of your questions or topics that you might want me to speak on in the chat. And while you all are doing that, a couple announcements for you all. Did anyone go to Mic Drop Club yesterday? Our storytelling one. I sent out an email to you all for anyone who isn't in Mic Drop Club yet and might want to try it. That you can go ahead and get that like try yesterday. Mic Drop Club is our women only, obviously, public speaking club where we focus specifically on the skills and the delivery of public speaking. So it's not about stages or getting booked. It is about the like eye contact, hand gestures, storytelling, and all of the mechanics of public speaking, how to be a great dynamic speaker, whether you're giving a presentation on stage or even at work or in your community. So you as speaker sisters get 50% off your, I'm going to get you guys the link right here, 50% off your annual membership. And we meet every month. Let's see. It was gold. I'm so glad. I'll put it in here. And then your, let's see. Yes, it has started and you can join at any time. I just put it in the chat. And each month we focus on something new. And then 4 times a year we meet in person if we have a city in your area, which we have a lot of Mic Drop Academy grads that are now hosting cities. We have about 33 of them now, which is amazing. So if you want to join us for November, you can go ahead and sign up at the link right there. I'm so glad that you are loving it. Okay, go ahead, start putting your questions in the chat. And then if you didn't get a text from me this morning, that means that you are not on our Mic Drop student text list. So text me MD student to 704-228-9495. That way I can text you so you don't miss any of our student lives or any of our student perks or tips that we might be sending out. So you can text MD Student to 704-228-9495. Okay, so let's hit some questions. Luz, I'm doing a keynote unpaid and have 20 minutes. What is the optimum number of stories and anecdotes to include? This is a great question, and one that I actually got this morning, someone who has a 15-minute talk. So when your talk is under 30 minutes, I would suggest like one or two of your stories and points to put in there. So this was something I really learned when I gave a TED Talk, which I just need to do a humble brag, has surpassed 500,000 views in the past 3 months. And I think one of the reasons that it has been successful, more so than the first TED Talk I gave, is because I focused on one thing. I knew I had a short amount of time, so I didn't want to try to fit a whole keynote into 10, 20 minutes. And instead, I just focused on one idea, which was lighthouse and spotlight speakers and how to be a great public speaker. So for you, Luz, who has 20 minutes, I would pick maybe one or two lessons from your 5-lesson keynote that really exemplify what you do, and don't try to do too much. I think sometimes we want to just like squeeze in everything we can in that 20 minutes and we wind up overwhelming people. So I would say less is more. All right, Leslie, I'm a semifinalist for Texas Talk. Way to go. What's your best tip for creating my next submission, video submission, which is to expand on my idea? I would, if you have an opportunity to use a standing desk, I would. That way you have more movement and they can kind of see what your delivery is like, quote, on stage, even if it's on video. And don't be afraid, we talk about this in Mic Drop Club, to like use the whole frame, like storytelling, act it out. The thing with submission videos and virtual talks is, even if you think you're being really emotive and really animated, like you're giving a 10 out of 10, it's going to come across in video as like a 6 out of 10, because video has a way of, and even in person has a way of compressing that energy. So I would go above and beyond, move into the frame, move out, be like, and then I heard tap, tap, is this thing on? Be really emotive when you give your submission video. And as far as any tech that you might want to use, Loom, Loom, is a good free platform to film video. Okay. I'm so glad a lot of you liked Club. Got Luz's question. Replay, if you're a member of Club, you should have gotten the replay yesterday. It should have been in your inbox. Is Mic Drop Club included in the Mic Drop program? It is not. It is separate. So that's why you all get half off of the annual in that link that I put below. Okay. Christina, how do you pitch if you're still working on your speech? I don't have an hour's worth yet. And how much can I ask if it's a 30-minute speech so far? So your cost, your fee, shouldn't differ between 30 minutes and an hour. I charge the same amount, whether I'm speaking for 25 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, even 75 minutes, because they're not paying for your time. They're paying for the value of your time. Now, I would argue you do have a 60-minute talk within you. And so the great part about speaking is it's usually a longer sales cycle. So let's say you start promoting your talk, Christina, and someone books you. It's probably going to be in at least 2 to 3 months, sometimes even a year. And so when you get booked, then keep building out your talk, build it out to 60 minutes or however long they want you to. I'm finding more and more events are leaning into 45-minute keynotes than 60 minutes these days. But go ahead and do it. I bet there's a lot of people in the chat right now that can say they started building, finalizing, and really building out their talk once there was a talk on their calendar. I kind of equate it to cleaning my house. Like when I have guests coming over, like, I'm not going to clean it. I'm not going to clean it. Oh my gosh, they're going to be here at 5 p.m. on Friday. I got to clean my house. So I wouldn't wait till you have your talk complete to start putting it out there or pitching yourself or start building your platform around it. As long as you're clear on your transformation promise and what you want to do, go ahead and get started because you're going to have the time. Oh, good to know, and that the texts don't work in Europe. Kathy or Jane, on this call, if you could just make note of that and see if there's anything we can do there. How long should your stories be? This totally depends lesson by lesson, but if each lesson is 10 minutes, then a story could be anywhere from like 3 to 5 minutes. But some of my stories are longer and some of them are shorter. You just kind of have to start getting reps and seeing how they land. Let's see. Rebecca, can you talk about the difference between a keynote, breakout, workshop, panel? Yes. I recently did a breakout, gave it like a keynote, and got some unhappy feedback. I totally understand. The breakouts and workshops should have a little bit more interaction than a keynote. So a keynote is something that the entire conference will go to, and it is usually one directional. So you can be interactive with it, but that's not the point. A a breakout or a workshop, they're looking for some sort of like, can I apply this to me? How can I talk to someone? How can I write something down? How can I raise my hand and say something that's a little bit more interactive? And so I would take your keynote and ask, what are like maybe 3 to 4 stopping points in here that I can either have them write something down, talk to their neighbor, or like raise their hand and be interactive. And that should help you out a lot. A panel is just when multiple people are up there, and there's questions. It's usually an unpaid opportunity for a panel, but I wouldn't take that feedback to heart. Just for next time, just add an interactive element. Let's see. I am a semifinalist. Way to go, Pam, for TEDx. I did your TEDx training. Any other word of advice? I have to submit my final title in 3-minute video. Yes. So the biggest suggestion I can give you if you're applying for TEDx, go on the YouTube like TED channel and start scrolling through all the videos. And which ones do you have the urge to click on and why? Was it how they framed their topic? Was it, was it something that seemed really attainable? And so sometimes we just have to look at the hooks. It's like kind of a good and bad part of TEDx is that it's very clickbaity because they get their success based off of views. And so you kind of have to subscribe to this belief that you really want someone to click on it, which can feel kind of icky sometimes, but there's authentic ways to do it. So I would start scrolling on TED and seeing which ones really speak to you and make sure it's solving a problem for someone and feels like a quick, easy win. So like my TED Talk, I'll put it in here so you guys can see it. My TED Talk is around the secret to great public speaking. And no, it's not confidence. And so I think, a reason why that did really well is because it felt like a small, easy win. Like, what's that one secret? But congratulations and let us know how it goes. Amy, if stuck on what to focus on with my keynotes, so many things I'm passionate about, how do you drill down to that 1 to 2 topics, write down my stories? Yeah, if you're like a champagne bottle and you are just like bubbling over with ideas, then some things that you can do to try to narrow down what you want to speak on. The tree exercise, which is in Mic Drop, where you draw a picture of a tree, have your transformation promise, your topic in the trunk, and then draw branches of all the things that people need to know or understand to achieve that transformation. Whichever topic has more branches usually has more opportunities for content and for it to develop into something. Another test you can do is like the 5-year test. Imagine it's 5 years from now. Are you still going to be really excited about this topic? Or is it something you're kind of excited about right now? You want something that has some sort of longevity to it so you don't constantly have to shift and evolve. And then the third thing I would say is ask yourself what's more bookable. What has the biggest financial opportunity for you as a speaker? And so this could even be a good ChatGPT prompt. Put them both into ChatGPT and say which one is meeting more of a corporate need for speakers. For example, if you're talking about like productivity, is like one of the things that you're considering versus, I don't know, like gardening. Obviously, they're going to say, well, productivity is probably going to be better in the workplace. Terrible example. But which one is more bookable, has a ROI opportunity? Maybe a good time for ChatGPT. How to pitch yourself. Oh, I already did that one. Liability insurance as a speaker. I don't speak to legal stuff, but I think anytime you can protect yourself is good. Bureaus, great question. What are your thoughts on them? Best practice to reach out and pitch ourselves. I am listed on so many bureaus. I would say it's probably less than 5% of my speaking every year. And the math, the actual stats of speaking bureaus they are less than 25% of gigs that are booked throughout the year. So they're not really a big part of the speaking industry, which is why I don't teach them in Mic Drop Workshop. If it's not something that I'm getting a substantial amount of money from, then I'm not going to show y'all how to do it because it's not really working for me. Although it does work for some speakers. But a bureau is basically like a big roster of speakers that, Coca-Cola could come to them and say, we're looking for a leadership speaker. And then they say, okay, great. Here's like 15 names of speakers that we have that meet your budget and topic. And then they choose. I would say bureaus are great for like celebrities who who want some separation in between the client. But for me, it hasn't been that great. However, it doesn't cost you anything to be on a bureau, but you do have to be selected. And so I would say after you have a demo reel or some good testimonials, you can reach out to some and see if they'll list you, but I wouldn't wait by the phone. I like to think of bureaus as like, oh, that's a nice surprise, but I don't put it into my plans. I price myself higher than a small business could afford. I'd still love the chance to serve them as I think it would lead to more ideas to make it seem like I'm not begging for a chance. This actually just happened to me. So I'll tell you what I did. This opportunity reached out to me. I quoted them. I said, for what you're looking for, my fee is this. And they said, okay, let us go back and talk about it. I didn't hear from them for like 3 days. And I was like, And so I went back to them and I said, what did I say? I said, I'd love to make this a win-win for you all. So if this feels out of budget, let's discuss ways that we could add value in other ways. For example, I see that you guys have a podcast. You guys have 2 million email subscribers. And I started to share a couple ways that I think I could have some value if they couldn't meet my budget. So Tiffany, I would say come back to them and say, I would love to make this a win-win for both of us. If you can't meet this rate, here are some things like footage, photos, testimonials that would be really helpful for me, and see what they come back with. Lee, I don't have any video footage speaking yet. Should I film myself or wait till I get a gig to record? I'm sure that there are people in the chat that can attest to just start where you are. I think filming yourself, even if you're just on a computer talking about your speaker statement or on a podcast, is great. We will have an opportunity that we hopefully can share with you all soon for you all to get footage next year. But for now, I would just say film yourself. You don't have to wait for a gig to get footage. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Dr. Kate, I've been giving the same keynote for a while. What are some smart ways to update it for rebookings? Girl, right there with you. And I started to do that this year. I would say test like one new thing per talk instead of being like, I'm just going to go up here and give a completely new talk for an audience that's paying me a lot of money to speak. If you have bookings on the calendar, I would say go ahead and like try something new each time to start to build it out. And then if you do just want to like have a completely new talk, I would map it out and then reach out to your old clients, maybe a couple of them that you still keep in touch with or that you had a good rapport with, and say, hey, I'm testing out this new keynote. I'd love to bring it back to you at a reduced rate, to get feedback and some testimonials and footage from it and see how it goes. Let's see. Yep. Recorded yourself. I love it. Q&A replays all in one place. Another great suggestion from Anne, for my team listening, if we could look at that. Let's see. Regulate emotions. This is a great thought. We actually talked about this in Mic Drop Club yesterday, where telling stories that maybe make you emotional. The first thing I will say is I wouldn't share on stage a story that is like still in the car with you. I would wait to share it until it's in your rear view mirror. There's a couple stories that I, only recently started telling because it was just kind of a little too raw for me. And so it doesn't mean that you have to be unemotional about them, but if you feel like it's something that you might not be able to control on stage, then I would wait till it's processed a bit more. And then regulating emotions, for me, it's also just like the breath work and nervous system of it. So I do box breathing before I speak. Holding something warm before you speak can be really calming as well. But I'm sure that there's some people in the chat that can help with that too. That's great that you got paid to do a panel. I have never gotten paid to do a panel. Christy, I have an interview today to discuss a workshop. Do you typically charge more for a workshop? It's supposed to be 60 to 90 minutes. This is the super unfortunate part about workshops is they're usually longer and pay less. But so I wouldn't charge more for a workshop. You could say like maybe 50% of what you would pay your keynote. But also, if they don't know what your keynote rate is, charge what you want to charge to do this. But the good thing about workshops too is that they're usually not like super date specific where you have to be there, sometimes workshops are like, oh, why don't you come on Thursday instead of like, well, our annual convention is on this date. So they can have a higher conversion. The second good thing is you're not having to fill up all the airtime. So if it's 90 minutes, a lot of that time is probably going to be them talking. You are basically there to help facilitate them into thinking and conversation. So it doesn't have to be you all the time. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting, Heather. I've had good luck this week starting research with ChatGPT and then feeding it into Perplexity and Claude. If not bureaus, what do you suggest? Direct to events, using the Mic Drop Workshop pitching methods, and then also building your personal platform on LinkedIn or wherever you're choosing. There's two ways to get bookings. It is outbound and inbound. Inbound is when events reach out to you. Outbound is when you reach out to events. And so to have more events reach out to you, growing your presence around like what you speak on, that can be in the form of social media, that can be in the form of doing podcasts, panels, and then also speaking. Speaking is one of the best ways to get inbound, even if it's for free. Even if you're just like, hey, I'm going to go to my local library and 5 people are going to show up and I'm going to run through my talk. Well, someone in there might be like, oh my gosh, Lizbeth is so great. I want her to come speak at my company. So that's inbound. And then outbound is finding the event and reaching out to them and seeing what's possible. So both of those. Heidi, would you recommend building your reputation on social media first or have a demo reel, then build your social media presence? Chicken or the egg, either one. I don't think that I think the headline for these questions are don't wait. If you're waiting for like your website to be done or your demo reel to start doing something, no one is paying attention that closely. No one's like, well, Heidi's posting on LinkedIn, but she doesn't have a demo reel yet. I know speakers that are still getting booked and they have never had a demo reel. They probably could be getting more money, but they are not waiting. And so I would say no matter what is it that feels fun and exciting, is it building your social media? Is it trying to get footage and do that? But I would really kind of step out of the belief, no matter what the situation is, that I need to wait to do this till I have this. I need to wait to start pitching till I have this. The only thing that I would say to wait is if you don't know what you want to speak on, because therefore you can't explain the value that you're going to bring. That's the only time I would say wait to start doing anything. Getting a booking manager for speaking gigs. This is when you should probably be doing at least 6 figures in speaking yourself. I didn't get a booking manager till I was already doing 200 grand a year in speaking from just what I was bringing in, because a booking manager gets a percentage of your fee. And so they have to be able to see that there's a percentage to get. The alternative to that is, if you do want help, is a virtual assistant. So a virtual assistant is not equipped in sales or speaking, but they can go and find events. Maybe you can train them to reach out, um, and they can reach out upon your behalf, but it's not as like a sales manager, it's more of an admin. However, we are working on something. I think a lot of you have already signed up for the wait list to hopefully help with finding speaking engagements, cough, AI help. Actually, I'm going to try to find that really quick. Okay, let's see. How have you changed your keynote from the one in Mic Drop Workshop? Good question. I have to actually check which one is in there, but it might be different, but not super different. Okay, here is the link for our wait list to try Carrie Booker, which is our AI speaking agent that we're building. Okay, does a podcast qualify as a demo reel? Absolutely. Anytime speaking is speaking. So clip whatever you have into a keynote or into a demo. My keynote is still in the works of an unpaid interview opportunity. Any chance for designing interview questions that center around my keynote while keeping it focused under 45 minutes? I would say focus less on designing the interview questions and more on making sure your answers are including when you say, when I speak about this, or when I work with audiences about this topic, and use that as a precursor to some of your answers when you're in the interview. You could, of course, can have the interviewer plant a question like, so how do you help businesses and companies? Of course, but I would say it's more about using when I speak about this to show people that you're a speaker. Let's see. We have enough time for a couple more questions. Booking manager, LinkedIn updated. I know it's whatever you can commit to it. For LinkedIn, let's see. How do you suggest pitching stories of resilience and growth for corporate conferences? Okay, this is a great question. So I would say, what are the areas in corporations and companies where resilience and growth is needed? Maybe it's in sales. Maybe it's when they're experiencing change. Maybe it's when there's like uncertainty. All of these things are happening right now, by the way. And so making sure that whatever you're plugging about resilience and growth, that you're making it corporate appeal to it. So I always say the story can be personal as long as the takeaway is professional. So your stories of resilience and growth, great, but always tie it back to why this would matter at work or in someone's job if you're trying to speak to corporate. Yes, I will put my current keynote in there for sure. And I'll just hit this one really quick. How do you build on social media when you have no experience on stage yet? Even just starting with your one-liner quotes that you build in the workshop, putting them in Canva, putting them on a graphic, saying them on camera and putting it onto social, just using some of the content you're building, even do a bump set spike that we do in the workshop and put it onto social. And then always say, like I was saying before, when I speak about this topic, or when I go to, my goal is to help so many companies do this. So you're always letting people know that you're a speaker. Okay. I hope you all have a great weekend. I think I got to most of them, but if I didn't, you can let me know in the Facebook group. And you guys are crushing it, and keep it going. Right now is still a good time to keep pitching until like Thanksgiving timeframe. But keep it up, and I will see you all soon. Bye, everyone.